Hi, everyone. It's Andrew with the Alliance for Innovation and Infrastructure, and today I'm joined by Jill Rice, a partner at PortX Logistics in Buffalo, New York. Jill, it's a pleasure to speak with you today. I'm really excited that you're here.
Pleasure to be here, Andrew. Thank you.
Of course, let's jump right in. This is my first question. What role do you play at PortX Logistics, and what inspired you to join this line of work?
So I am one of the partners of PortX. I'm one of the original founding members. I've actually been in this industry since I was 19 years old. Kind of fell into it by accident. I worked on a dock, then I went to a trucking company, then I went into third-party logistics, and here I am. So we started PortX with a vision of having the coolest and most innovative logistics company in the United States. And I think after 6 years, we pretty much accomplished what we wanted to do. I, being the only female member of the original founders is pretty unique to myself in this industry. It's very limited to women as well. It's very cool to have the role that I have and the female advantage of bringing other females into the industry. So
That's amazing. I think the work that PortX has done in just 6 years has been very substantial, and it's amazing to see. And I'm very excited that you are a part of it. And being a female in this industry definitely provides a different perspective. What impact does PortX make?
So we are one of the very few trucking companies that handle international ocean shipments, and we also have technology that backs it up. We do technology that kind of tracks our trucking, and we really focus on our employees and the company culture. We try to retain the best company culture that there is, and we have a lot of fun. We have really cool, unique offices. We have an open concept office, and leadership team is always on the floor working with our employees. So that's one of the biggest differences, I would say, that PortX brings to the industry. And we kind of pride ourselves on making everybody industry experts as well. And customer service. We focus hard on customer service. We send a lot of personal cards to people. We've had customers that have had babies. We make sure that we follow up on them. We treat our customers like family also. And it works out amazingly because we have fun.
I really like that you guys have such a supportive environment. It definitely gives off that family vibe, which is extremely important, especially in an industry that I don't think many people would expect that in. Would you be able to elucidate a little bit more on the technology side that you had first mentioned? What does innovation and technology look like to you guys?
So we have a platform that was relatively new to the industry that kind of started when we started. It is called Turvo, Turvo. It's our everything platform, a TMS system, which you would call it in trucking, that we put our orders in, we track everything. We can actually have a customer can actually have a tenant to get onto it and track their own stuff if they want to. It provides tracking links. We get drivers on a tracking link with their phone, and they track the whole entire shipment start to finish. That was pretty new to the industry when we first opened 6 years ago. It's pretty well received. We have a division called Carrier 911, which is an expedited division, mostly airport pickups that are hot and have to pick up and go straight to delivery. And the trekking link and Turbo has helped gain a lot of business. As far as technology goes, being innovative, I'm not the technology person. So that's probably as much as I can get, but
But that's
anybody
okay.
else,
Technology,
yeah.
for the most part, is a fundamental part of what you guys do. So, for the general public who don't understand the world of logistics, how would you define logistics?
So it is funny because, my God, I've been in this industry for 20 plus years. Not very much of my friends or family kind of really knew what logistics meant. I move stuff. That's it. Point A to B. I get your deliveries out. But it wasn't until really like after COVID a couple of years ago when everything was kind of backed up because there was no supplies or anything like that it kind of made the news. All the stuff going on in LA and all the vessels that were kind of hanging out in the water that it actually became something that people were interested in. We focus on more of like the supply chain, international shipments, containerized cargo that comes in from other countries via ocean. So that's our biggest bread and butter. We also do exports, so stuff leaving the US going to other parts of like other countries. Without logistics, nobody would have anything. So I guess that's the best way to explain it is it's how you get your stuff. Most stuff comes from overseas.
Yeah, when it comes to my line of work, being the media coordinator for a national nonprofit centered in infrastructure, it's one of those things where I had the same issues, not necessarily issues, but the same experience with my friends and family. Infrastructure is one of those things that allows us to live our everyday lives, but it's something that we don't think about unless something goes wrong.
Right.
Obviously, logistics, just like energy infrastructure, is an integral part to our daily routines. Why would you say that efficiency is so important when it comes to logistics?
Because every supply chain has a deadline. Everything has to be on a shelf at a certain date. Obviously, if it's food, there's expiration dates. Really, supply and demand has to be met. Fuel has to deliver so that nothing shuts down. That type of thing.
Yeah, transportation infrastructure is extremely important. What would you say the challenges are?
I think really there's so many laws now coming out that are geared towards sustainability and kind of like energy efficiency. And it's hard to kind of comply with some of the laws. Like there's EV battery vehicles starting out. That's something super new to the industry. A lot of people want that turned on like ASAP. Really can't happen because it's kind of in the beginning stages. There are a lot of laws in California that are environmental laws that have to do with, fuel and how old your vehicle is and like clean air, stuff like that. So it's extra charges. You have to upgrade your equipment more. We do have a division in LA and Oakland. So we know we have trucks in LA and Oakland also. So we know the challenges of the expenses that have to do with that. There's still a supply and demand issue with parts. So truck parts are hard to come by or slower to come by. The market is really soft right now and it's for everyone. The craziness of COVID, which was very crazy for the industry, but also, very profitable for everyone because there was no such issue with rates or, really anything. Money was no issue back in those good days. And now that supply and inventories are kind of streamlined, or even some inventories are even like at abundance. I mean, we're pretty much the same that we were before COVID, but with the past 3 years, it really just made a huge effect. So you'll see a lot of in the news, different LTL companies closing, different logistics companies laying off. The market is just really, really tough right now. So that changes so much throughout the years. Sometimes it's really good. Sometimes it's really low. We'll probably never see anything like COVID again, but that really kind of made a big mark in the industry.
I'm sure, especially with the way that even going back to technology and how much that has evolved, I'm sure there's a lot of areas where it just costs so much money and it makes you think, are these innovations worth it? Was the original way we were doing things and handling things more efficient than what we're doing now?
So you'll never take AI, robots, technology will never really take the place of real, true customer service. And I think that's one of our huge benefits at PortX Logistics is that we really focus on personalized customer service. We have all the technology that people can track their own stuff themselves. We have the technology that, it tracks vehicles and you don't have to keep up to date or whatever, but we really believe in that true personal touch customer service and kind of staying relevant with our customers and making sure that everything, that their needs are being met, that we're not just ignoring something that they need. And technology will never take the place of that. That's one thing that really keeps us going and keeps us successful is we really have that personalized family-like customer service touch with our customers. If you're present with someone and you give them the best customer service, that's where all the business is going to go. Technology will never take the place of that.
I agree. Even thinking about how artificial intelligence is making such a impact on our country's youth and how they perceive reaching a solution rather than going through the process. And you understand in almost any area, whether it be your line of work, my line of work, or art, the process is extremely important. A lot of educators are even discerning that creating curriculum based off of field trips, those kinds of hands-on experiences, those can never be replicated by artificial intelligence because it's impossible. Bearing all of this in mind, what best practices exist that you would like the public to know?
Be very aware and cognizant of truck drivers. Their job is incredibly tough. Weather is always going to be an issue. Be patient with a lot of stuff. There's definitely a lot of disruption in the supply chain on a day to day that is beyond anybody's control, whether it's weather related, whether it's, union strike related, because that's been happening a lot lately. Our industry is all road related and they can't get deliveries there if people are in a hurry for no reason.
What would you like policymakers to know?
Yeah. So one of the other big things that I actually work on, me personally in PortX, is the project cargo, which is usually the big out of gauge stuff that you see, a truck driving where they have cops in front and then, wide load on the back and then escorts and stuff like that. I love those policies that are put in place. Like there are different laws and stuff like that. What I wish would happen was that overseas understood our DOT laws, because there are very, very different. The US has very strict DOT laws, and for a reason, right? You don't want a giant something to fall off a truck and kill 100 people. And then you'd also don't want to deal with trying to swerve around a big truck. And, that's my number one. Nothing against the policymakers, but more that I wish other countries understood our DOT laws, because that makes our jobs pretty hard.
What would you say are some of the most important components of transportation infrastructure? For example, making sure that, our country has a plethora of deficient bridges. That's something that obviously needs. So what are some of the components that stand out to you when it comes to transportation infrastructure?
I don't really witness on a day-to-day any infrastructure issues. I think the US actually has pretty good handle on DAT laws. There are pretty good directions to avoid certain areas that maybe some people don't really listen to. I've worked at companies where a ton of drivers have taken out an overpass. There's not really anything that I can think of that would impact that too much.
What kind of laws stand out to you as the ones that you really do like that the DOT has?
So escorts, permits, if something is super tall, that's a big one. It's called a bucket truck, and it's just a guy that picks up that sits in a bucket or cherry picker and, lifts the power lines. There's a very rare occasion where you'll see an accident or a disruption or anything happen in delivering some of these like crazy cargo. So I think the US has a really good handle on their DAT laws, and when it is, as it pertains to permits and, big stuff, it's pretty impressive actually.
How important are runaway ramps for the logistics industry?
So in the New York, New Jersey, Connecticut area, it gets a little dicey. They're bordering water, they're smaller states. I've never really ran into that issue. I can tell you it's very expensive to deliver. It's more expensive to deliver into like Connecticut or the smaller states, like even New England states, because they do have smaller bridges and, not such wide highways and stuff like that, that they have to take different, like longer routes and stuff like that. So,
Oh,
uh,
really?
yeah. So, so that New England area, Connecticut, it's expensive,
I did
expensive to live and expensive to deliver.
I did not know that. That's very
Yeah.
fascinating.
Yeah.
Can you name maybe um, two other areas that impact logistics, such as this, like road size? And how severe is the rerouting process?
So there's quite a bit that can be um, that can add to rerouting weight, cargo weight of something. Some states can't handle certain weights. Liquor, some states will not allow liquor to even travel through it, into, out of, or even travel through it. So you have to take obviously a completely different route.
That's very fascinating. I did not know that there were policies in place.
Yeah, weight. I would say weight is probably the biggest one, and that's funny because that's another pretty strict law that a lot of people don't know, whether even people that work in this industry that live in the United States. There are quite a bit of states like Ohio that won't even allow certain weights to travel. West Coast, same thing. They have like it's called an overweight corridor. You have to go through like these certain areas because like the heavy loads just damage the road so much because of heat and whatever. Um, so there's a lot of laws as it pertains to weight for sure.
Well, I can imagine that gets really messy if you're doing, across I have certain goods that need to be distributed by a certain time, and deadlines, like you said, are extremely important. So I suppose when it does come to different state laws, that definitely has a profound impact, because you want to be efficient, but at the same time abide by laws and be safe, I
Well, and
suppose.
everybody wants to really save a buck or two. They're trying to overload containers to overweight, and there's some stuff that we have that everyday stuff that's heavy, like tile or countertops or whatever. They try to get their most bang for their buck because you can overload the containers when they are overseas, but once they get to the states, sometimes you can't even move them.
Mm.
Um, and that's a day-to-day challenge every day, something that our whole team learns the trials and tribulations of overweight shipments.
I'm sure that Portex has come up with a really good, efficient solution, to
Yeah, it's me. It's called me.
amazing. Thank you, Jill, for being here with us today. We're really excited to have talked with you. You guys can visit aii.org to learn more.